I love dinosaurs, and I've made no secret of it at this point, because if you know me even a little bit, you know that I am absolutely obsessed with these creatures of prehistory. I'm always drawing them, buying them, and watching them. Heck, I even included one of my dinosaur OCs in my channel outro, with a lot of my love for these dinosaurs coming from my childhood obsession with Jurassic Park. But being a fan of those movies is a double-edged sword, as while yes, they are a lot of fun and it's great to see them get so much recognition, in doing so they often steal the limelight from a lot of other paleo projects, so much so that it's almost impossible for a new dinosaur franchise to get started, considering the fact that Jurassic holds such a monopoly on the genre. So, as you can imagine, whenever I do see a movie take a stab at these creatures, especially ones trying to do something new with the genre, I'm always going to be interested and supportive of those projects. And so, when it was announced that Primitive War was getting an adaptation, I was honestly really excited, as the idea of dinosaurs in a Vietnam War-styled movie sounded amazing. Even if I had never read the original book, it still sounded really interesting. But during to the build-up of the movie, I had a few concerns. Not only with some questionable bad actors behind the scenes, but also the blatant copying of Jurassic's designs for certain dinosaurs. It was something that had me concerned, as all the build-up they were essentially promoting this movie as the better, much more serious Jurassic movie, something that would show them how it's done, as they put it, no walk in the park. And as you can imagine, comparing yourself to such a well-established franchise, especially one on Jurassic scale, before you even had your movie released, it's not only risky, but could backfire horribly. Now, I know I'm late to this movie, as it was released back in August, but that's because it wasn't released in the UK due to it being an indie film, and so it's only now, with it on streaming, that I actually managed to get my hands on it. But in the meantime, before I managed to see it, I actually did decide to grab the book for myself in order to have something to compare it to when I actually did see the movie, and I'm really enjoying the book so far. It's not flawless, but it's really strong at sucking you into its world and making you feel like you're with the characters as they're being hunted. And so, after waiting longer than most and desperately wanting a new dinosaur franchise to sink my teeth into, what did I think of the Primitive War movie in the end? Well, it was a mixed bag. Now, to give a little context from what I've been seeing, in terms of reactions to this movie, they're heavily split. Some are absolutely loving this movie, and others are absolutely despising it. Me personally, I feel the truth lies somewhere in the middle, and while I definitely do see where people are coming from with both sides, I genuinely felt like this movie was just sort of fine. I really wanted to love Primitive War. I really wanted to be absolutely enthralled and blown away by it, even despite its smaller budget, or maybe even in spite of that, I was very open to this movie. And despite the bad press surrounding it, I couldn't help but feel a little underwhelmed by it once the credits rolled. Because despite this movie doing so many things I love, I do not love this movie. And initially, that puzzled me. I, for the life of me, couldn't understand why I didn't love Primitive War, but after sleeping on it for a few days, I think I finally figured out why. Now hold on, peeps. Do you want to be featured in a video? Just like Trixie VR, AJ2003, and Edward Dantes? Then you need to subscribe right now, because now I'm on a mission to get to 30,000 subscribers. Yes, peeps, we hit 20,000 subscribers, and it's all thanks to you and your support. Thank you all again for 20,000 subscribers. It does not feel real, and I'm so grateful for you all. 20k special coming soon, and I think you guys are going to like it. But now the mission has changed. 30,000 subscribers. Come on, peeps, we got to get 30,000 subscribers, and with your help, I think we can do it. So, if you want to help me on my mission and potentially get a shout out, then be sure to comment down below telling me you subscribed, and who knows, it might be your name that's one featured in the very next video. But with that, let's get back to Primitive War. Primitive War has a bit of an identity crisis. If it wasn't already apparent by the visual designs of the movie, this film just doesn't understand what it wants to be, and unfortunately the final results suffer quite a bit as of that, because at first it's very close to the book with its opening, but the further it goes along, the more and more it starts to feel less like Primitive War, and more like someone trying to remake Predator, only with none of the charm at its center. Essentially, this movie is trying so hard to be other movies that it kind of forgets to do its own thing. And so while it does a few of these elements well, when you put it all together, it doesn't feel all that strong because they've simply been done better in all the other things they're trying to replicate. Whether it be the characters or even specific scenes, they feel like something copied from something else rather than being its own thing, and so it feels less genuine and does lessen the viewing experience. But before you crucify me in the comments, no, it's not a bad movie. In fact, there's a lot about it I did like, such as with the action. For the most part, the action with the new dinosaurs here was really cool to see, like all the scenes of the T-Rex or the cool fight with the Utahraptors in the abandoned building. That was a lot of fun, but I definitely think this movie's strongest aspect would have to be its VFX. Because despite its relatively small budget, the effects look fantastic. Sure, not every shot is perfect, but for what they had, I was very impressed by the effects in this movie, as they really understood how to make the movie style work for the effects team, and it shows with stuff like the Utahraptors looking really, really good. Plus, the addition of including more animalistic behaviors to the dinosaurs was a fantastic touch. It really helped to make these creatures feel like living things with genuine personality. But unfortunately, in a way, that being so good just makes the rest of the movie feel like a punch in the gut because, as you've proven, you're capable of making dinosaurs that look good. You're capable of making unique dinosaurs that stand on their own 2 feet. But you keep going back to Jurassic with the blatant copying of Jurassic Park's Rex head on the V-Rex body. It's so disappointing. And herein lies the biggest issue I have with Primitive War. That being how it's constantly comparing itself to Jurassic Park, whether it be the designs or the marketing with the whole "It's no walk in the park" tagline. It feels so spiteful and somewhat jealous, and the problem in doing all of that is that you're now comparing yourself to Jurassic Park. You're now forever linking yourself to a major franchise when you didn't need to. It feels lazy. It feels like you're not confident enough in your own movie standing on its own 2 feet that you have to compare it to the Jurassic franchise in order to have some success. Plus, not only does it feel cheap, but by doing so, you open yourself up to the constant comparisons you're gonna get to Jurassic. Which is a shame because we want more fresh and unique dinosaur franchises. But by doing this, you're now making yourself a part of Jurassic's identities, rather than having your own, which will come back to bite you in the ass in future, because even if it's working now, it's not a long-term solution. It's a gimmick. A gimmick that will get really old really fast. And once that gimmick dries up, suddenly people won't care about you anymore, because all you've done is try to prop yourself up as the Jurassic killer, when in reality, you kind of just want to be them. So yeah, in my opinion, I feel like this was a really dumb decision that will impact the series if they do end up making more movies, which they seem to be planning to, because not only do you hurt the potential success, but you also waste a lot of the creativity and uniqueness that came from the original book. But even still, if you were to ignore all those Jurassic comparisons, this movie is still heavily flawed, with the characters being really kind of dull and one-dimensional. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but it feels like they wanted to replicate the crew in Predator, but they just don't have the charm or the connection those characters had to one another. Plus, there's too many of them. So many that it feels like they're just stacking up bodies rather than having interesting dynamics, because a lot of the time, most of the characters here get nothing to do other than be extensions of the main characters or be bodies for the dinosaurs to kill. Not to mention, the one side character I was genuinely interested in, this guy with a lot of personal issues and trauma, gets killed off in such a sudden way that it feels more like a forced emotional moment rather than a justified conclusion to his character. which was a massive disappointment. And speaking of disappointment, we gotta talk about Cyclops, because man, I feel like Cyclops could have been a really interesting dinosaur antagonist throughout, and I kinda hope that they saved him for something more impactful, but no, he gets stabbed in one scene and then just shows up again in the ending where he gets burnt to a crisp, and it just feels really underwhelming because it's such a great design that lends itself to the story so much and has so much potential that they could explore, but ultimately nothing is done with it. In fact, you could probably describe this whole movie like that. Great visuals, a lot of great story potential, but at its heart, it's completely hollow and feels aimless. I know we as a paleo community are so starved for new dinosaur movies that we'll take pretty much anything at this point, but trust me on this. This isn't the one, Chief. At least, not yet. Because despite all my grievances about the film, I still feel like it has potential, and maybe in a sequel they can refine these ideas a lot more and actually have something to say rather than just being the darker Jurassic movie. I feel like Primitive War is a great concept that just needs a better creative vision. But what do you guys think? Did you enjoy Primitive War, or are you more underwhelmed by it like I was? Let me know down in the comments, and remember, this is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, and if you enjoy the movie, then all power to you. But with that, peeps, it's been the Pink King here, and I will see you all next time.